Hi folks, my name is Greg McLawsen. I am the Affidavit of Support lawyer. I've spent the past 10 years representing plaintiffs in federal litigation to enforce the Affidavit of Support. So what is a sponsor liable for? There are a couple different ways we could go about answering this question, but basically I think about a sponsor's liability as falling into two main buckets. The first one, probably not something you really need to worry about. The second one you definitely do if you are a potential sponsor. First of all, sponsors can be sued for the costs of any means-tested benefits provided to the immigrant. These are things like Medicaid, TANF or cash assistance, and food stamps. If a sponsored immigrant gets benefits under any of these programs, while the Affidavit of Support is enforceable, the sponsor can be sued for the cost of those benefits. Now that sounds scary, and it theoretically is. So for example, if an immigrant gets into a car crash and has $200,000 in medical bills and they're covered by the Medicaid program, a sponsor could be on the hook for all those costs. As it happens, I'm not aware of any jurisdiction anywhere in the United States that routinely enforces the affidavit in this way. The Trump administration, as some people might recall, had very strict immigration policies that were put into place. The Trump administration considered but did not actually enact policy that would have made enforcement of the Affidavit of Support mandatory. That is to say that even at what we might consider the high water mark of tough immigration policy in the United States in recent history, the Affidavit of Support was still not enforced by federal agencies and isn't by state or local agencies either. So bucket number one of liability, that is lawsuits by the government to recover the cost of means-tested benefits, that's a theoretical possibility. In practice, I don't see that happening anywhere in the United States. Bucket of liability number two is a different story. The second liability under the Affidavit of Support is that a sponsored immigrant can sue the sponsor to maintain their income at 125% of the federal poverty guideline. What does that mean? The federal poverty guideline currently, 2022, is about $1,415 per month. If an immigrant, while the Affidavit of Support is enforceable, if the immigrant is unemployed, she can sue her sponsor and recover 125% of the federal poverty guideline. So again, that's $1,400 per month. It's tied to income. So if the beneficiary is making more than $1,400 per month, that cancels out her ability to sue the sponsor. But while the Affidavit of Support is in effect, while the immigrant is unemployed, she can sue the sponsor for $1,400 per month, or roughly $17,000 per year under the current policy guidelines. Also in that bucket of liability, the beneficiary of the affidavit has the entitlement to recover all of the costs and attorney fees that she incurs enforcing the Affidavit of Support. So again, my practice is representing green card holders in federal litigation. If a client of mine has to sue her immigration sponsor for that support, she's entitled to recover all of her attorney fees that are spent in the furtherance of enforcing the Affidavit of Support. So on the low end, that might be $20,000 or so if a piece of federal litigation is resolved relatively early in the litigation process. A significant liability for the sponsor for sure. Bottom line, sponsors are responsible for two different forms of liability. Number one, repaying the costs of federally funded means-tested benefits provided to the immigrant. That's something that's not routinely done. And then number two, maintaining the immigrant at 125% of the poverty guideline. That very much is enforced, is very much a real thing, and that's a significant form of financial liability to the sponsor. If you have questions about the Affidavit of Support, feel free to jump into the comments. I'm happy to answer questions of a general nature. If you're the beneficiary of an Affidavit of Support and you would like a confidential consultation, feel free to reach out. We do those by Zoom all across the United States. Hope that's helpful.